ourselves a little bit more, but I think today's session, we've identified the challenges. We now need to agree on practical actions. So I'm hoping today we're going to take away some practical actions that we can either implement in our own businesses, we can all come together as a cohort to implement, or it leads a conversation that we can take these practical actions forward. Welcome panel. Yeah, so let's begin. So if I can't introduce you all, and I didn't have enough hours in the day to research everybody, so I think briefly, if everybody could introduce themselves. We don't have much time. On a timing note, I have to be on another stage at 10 to 2, lady in demand. So I think we're going to wrap up at 10 to 2 if that suits everybody. So I'd like you all, welcome back. It's okay, no problem at all. Nice to see you join us. We're just going to do our name, our role and what we do. And then we're going to look at one challenge and one opportunity. So in a sentence, what do you see as the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity to the KBB industry today? So your name, your role, just shout out the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity. I suspect sometimes they're both wanting the same thing, but that's the way we're going to play it. And I think it'd be great if we could start with you, Simon.
So Simon Acres Group, and I would keep it very brief and say that I believe that we need, it was mentioned yesterday, Daniel too, very much so, more communication on how to hire more apprentices within our industry.
Okay, thank you.
Introduce myself again? Or
well, yeah, we've done that.
We've done that.
Yeah.
Opportunity, sort of practically put some basic technologies, AI-driven stuff in to make us all more efficient.
Hello, Damien Walters, Chief Exec at the British Institute of Fitted Interior Specialists, BIFIS. Challenge, it will be no surprise that there is a skills gap crisis unfolding, and that is going to affect everybody, regardless of where you are in the industry. The opportunity, I think, really sits with, and it's important, the first part of this is important, and that is a meaningful collaboration to overcome it. I think we have the expertise and people around the table to be able to fix this, but meaningfully is the key for me.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mark Conacher, KBB Momentum. It's a consultancy for installers. Most installers in the UK are sole traders. For me, that's a problem when we're looking to take on apprenticeships. Apprenticeships, no matter what way you shake it up, don't really make a lot of sense for a sole trader. What I'm aiming to do is try and help those sole traders grow their business a little bit bigger so that it does make sense. And obviously bringing in apprentices is going to be tackled from all different angles, and this is one way that I think will make a huge difference.
I'm Owen Harrison. I'm Managing Director at the Kitchen and Bathroom Buying Group, which is the UK's largest independent buying group for independent kitchen and bathroom space. And the biggest challenge and the biggest motivation for us really is creating a healthy, profitable, independent kitchen and bathroom sector that continues to flourish and is there for generations to come.
Hi everybody, I'm Trevor Scott. I own a small chain of 3 kitchen showrooms here in the Midlands. Been going for 35 odd years now. Biggest challenge I see is recruitment, bringing young people into the industry, replacing an ageing workforce, particularly when it comes to installers and such.
I'm Toby Russell. I'm Head of Sales at Blum UK, responsible for sales function in the UK Blum enterprise. I echo exactly what you say. I think ageing expertise in our sector, and I think the biggest opportunity we have is to be able to, I suppose, expose all the different facets of what we do to younger people and get them engaged with all the various topics and skill sets that are required.
Good afternoon. Firstly, apologies for arriving back late. Apologies for that, lost in the show. I'm Andy Gamble. I'm now part-time. I do business advisory and mentoring within the construction supply chain, builders merchanting in simple terms. My career was 40 years in independent builders merchants that had showrooms to lesser and greater degrees. first challenge was going to be qualified workforce, but that's been nicked a few times. So to widen it up, I think economic catalysts to start house building, which is way down, not just against government targets, but running so far short of what is required. And if that was to be stimulated, it would have a massive impact on this group. Opportunity. I guess this group to start working effectively, and I might hear something in the next couple of hours that since our last meeting in December, it has really started to make some difference. But I think there's a group of people here who clearly were motivated in December. It'd be good to see and hear how we can continue to keep that motivation and get some benefit.
Good morning, I'm Derek Williams from Achievement Partners, and to put it quickly, we are basically an examination body providing assessments for apprentices on their programme. I think the biggest challenge for us in the forward year is working with you guys and employers very closely to get responses to support the apprenticeship reform process, which is moving ahead at pace. The opportunity flowing from that is basically that we want to see key flexibilities and improvements within apprenticeship programs, and possibly consider an effective apprenticeship brokerage service that supports employers more effectively to source, recruit and retain apprentices.
I'm Brendan, Managing Director of Articad. Biggest challenge I think today that we see is, I'm a technology advocate, of course, but the cost of technology in the independent showrooms for them to be operationally more than adequate in what their responsibilities are, understanding digital transformation and connecting, solutions so they don't have disjointed technologies, I think is the biggest challenge, and also represents the largest opportunity in this agentic time.
Okay, thank you.
Peter Butt, Business Manager at Lloyd Services Amazing Bathrooms. We're an independent family-owned business. My role is sales and customer experience, essentially. The challenges are, as many people have said, is bringing people into the industry with an aging workforce that needs to pass on their skills. The opportunity there is that's really rewarding for the team who pass their skills on. So working with people like the Bathroom Association and with BIFIS, trying to be involved in those conversations to see the change that we would like to make it happen. So be the someone that everybody's talking about. Someone needs to do something. We need to be the someones.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
So I'm Jamie, I'm CEO and founder of RM. We're a retailer, got 2 showrooms. I also sit on the KBSA board. I think the biggest opportunity that we've got as an industry right now is to connect the dots. I think it's very fragmented. I've heard some people refer to it as the Wild West at times. Everyone's out there doing it their own way. So, for me, I think the biggest opportunity is to raise the floor, to professionalise the whole industry, and drive innovation.
Hi, Dan Banks, MD of Lessico. I think for me, I actually look at it slightly differently. I think one of the biggest challenges, certainly from our perspective, is more about retention of really high caliber people. I think we're actually quite good at attracting new talent, particularly into our business, but retaining those real standout high performers of the future and making sure they've got an adequate pathway to keep them engaged for the longer term is certainly a significant challenge. And secondary to that, and I'd like to labour this point, I think it's the dumbing down of existing talent through the use of AI. We're starting to see it a lot, where a lot of the kind of the critical thinking and some of the even the less menial task-based stuff that we're kind of delegating or deflecting off onto AI tools. And I think some of that, we're losing kind of some of the smarts that go along with that. So navigating our way through that whilst embracing AI where it's appropriate to do so, I think is a really significant challenge.
Thank you, Dan. Afternoon, everyone. So I'm Aaron McIver. I'm the head of L&D delivery with Howdens. First time at the session, so thank you for the invite. Appreciate it. Again, just echo a lot of the comments that have already been made in the room. I think a big challenge that I see day in, day out is around attracting the right people into the industry. I think the jobs are there. I just think that it's the attraction piece is a real challenge for us at the moment. And I think the opportunity, which is kind of linked to it, is about fishing where the fish are. So what I mean by that is about the way that we reach out to these people and, you know, make them aware of what is the opportunity in this industry. I think we've got an opportunity around that.
Hello, good morning everyone. First time here. My name is Daphne Duda-Green. I'm the CEO of the Bathroom Association. We're a UK trade association for the bathroom sector. I'm relatively new into the sector, about 9 months now, so I come with fresh eyes. And some of the challenges I see in the space of future skills and capability, and that's not just within the installer space, but I think it's across the industry, and as you said, accessing talent from other places I think is a big challenge for us. AI and tech disruption, certainly speaking to our members, it's the ability to kind of keep up with it but use it effectively. As Dan's mentioned, you know, what's the kind of longer term impact, both positive and negative of AI. And certainly for me, I've been in lots of these rooms in a prior role. I would like to think that we can get some action. So collaboration with purpose, and perhaps just coming out today, 1 or 2 actions that we can really work together on. That would be a positive outcome. So thank you.
Morning, Paul Dwyer. I'm the Managing Director of Thomas Crapper, part of the Trojan Group. Yeah, I think the challenges, I echo a lot around the apprentices. We take apprentices on in our business. For me, negotiating the bureaucracy involved in getting apprentices on board is a real pain for a relatively small business. And then added to that, I think the opportunity, building on what James was saying, is actually trying to get rid of some of the fragmentation in the industry, because we don't really, I'm a real advocate of the independent sector, we don't have a voice. I don't believe, well, certainly not a collaborative voice, so yeah, absolutely, I'd agree with that.
So I'm David, Managing Director of Trojan. In Huddersfield we manufacture baths, so I'm from a slightly different angle in that we're a manufacturer, but they'll all relate. The legislation, the challenges really for us, and it echoes down to yourselves, employment, energy, environmental. If you just take the employment legislation, which will be changing reasonably soon, will become a huge headache, I would suspect, for most people in this room. You know, zero-hour contracts going out. They're not always a bad thing. They sometimes work very well for the employee. It's too easy for government just to say sound bites that sound popular, and it causes real havoc in the real world of whether it be manufacturing or services and supplies. The opportunities, again, more from a manufacturing point of view, we need to sort of kickstart the house building and the renovation again, and that will only come, again, through some legislation change, and the swell that brings when you build a new housing development to the local economy as a whole, tradespeople, delivery people, bars, restaurants, cafes, sandwich shops, it makes a huge difference when they build these housing estates. They're not always a bad thing. I appreciate you might not want on the edge of your village a new 500 home development, but it will benefit where you are, and it will benefit the young people in there as well with jobs and skills. So that's legislation is a double-edged sword.
Thank you everyone for some great points there. And I think it echoes some of the 5 pillars we're going to move on to talk about in a minute. So we had, are we in a healthy position to meet housing targets, housing needs? Is the industry robust enough for us to get there? Like you said, opportunity beyond just the housing. There's opportunity in these new housing estates for other potential areas to expand the business. We talked about Wild West and bringing collaboration to the fore. We're a fragmented industry. We talked about legislation. People and skills seem to be a pretty big topic, isn't it? Attracting them, retaining them, thinking about next generation, onboarding, offboarding. So we talked about people and skills. So lots to get our teeth into there again, but I think you all echo the same point that we do all know, and I think not one disagreement in the room. We're all nodding our heads in agreement with everybody else. But it's just like you said, Daphne, it's about the actions that we take to go forward now. So lots of great points. Just a brief outline of how this next session is going to go. We've got 2 hours and I really want to maximise on the time together today. So in front of you, we have a sheet of paper with 15 pillars of growth. These 15 pillars came out of the conversation in December. And I don't think there's anything that's come up in the room just now that doesn't factor in these 15 pillars. I don't think there's been one wild card that we need to add, like a 16th pillar. But what we did between myself and Simon and Cordian was we thought about those 15 pillars and tried to group them into specific topics. 15 pillars is a lot to go at, a lot to get our teeth into. We'll be here till 10 o'clock tonight getting into 15 pillars. So we tried to condense them and get a kind of concise kind of list together basically, and make sure we're focusing our energy in the right places. So we're going to go through each of those pillars, and we're just going to see, has the needle changed? Has legislation changed? What are you guys doing in your own businesses that you would like to share with the rest of the group that we can learn from, and see kind of where we're at. So we're going to review those pillars, not 15 but 5, and we're going to go through those. And we're not marking ourselves against a checklist. You know, we're just here to reflect on those. And I think the other thing at the end of those 5-pillar review, has there been another emerging opportunity that we've missed? Is there a topic that we just haven't covered that we feel is an emerging opportunity? So we're going to kind of take a look at that, but not spend too much time on it. So before we move from ideas into actions, of course you can, Simon. Yeah.
So we'd just like to show a very short film if we can today. So just to set the scene. So on my journeys talking to lots of people say, Simon, how do you hire an apprentice? And it's a really big question that lots of people ask. And you know, Derek will tell you exactly how to do it because he knows, but most people don't. Okay. So what we decided to do, using Cordian's fantastic skill set, is to record 3 films over 18 months. And we want to thank firstly Adroit Services and Aylesbury because they've been absolutely fantastic on board with the project 100%. So thank you to Peter and Emma Barton both here today. Thank you. And we hope to release a trailer and be launched today. We'll the first bit of the trailer today. And then we have 2 further films, one for employers, how to hire an apprentice, and one for education leaders, what is continuing apprenticeship. So if we can pass the recorder, we'll just take 4 minutes to watch this film, and that will be a great through to the next step.
We feel the industry needs to be looking to take on apprentices as we have a looming skills gap within our industry. We see that across a wide area of production, and we're better to develop the skills from within your own business, using your own talent to help grow that.
This is how we secure our legacy, not by holding on to the knowledge we've gained, but by passing the torch. The future leaders of the KBB industry are out there right now. They are waiting for an opportunity. They are waiting for a guide.
The main reason we're given by our association members for not growing more quickly or for not developing their business is the lack of qualified tradesmen to undertake work.
I think there's a perception in some people that they're worried that they'll take on an apprentice and they'll either leave before the end of the time, or they're just going to take the learning and go and set up on their own. To that I would say, how do you retain your other staff? Anybody that joins your business could learn and decide to go elsewhere. We need to make our businesses attractive. We need to do a role that's enjoyable. You're working with good customers. If your team enjoy working with them, it's on us to make sure that they want to stay in the business.
If you just pay a minimum wage, then you're going to get possibly a minimum commitment. So it's always really good if your apprentice is doing really well, you know, like pay them what they deserve, because obviously you'll get, you know, more out of them.
So the apprenticeship standard that we are using for our apprentices is the property maintenance operative. It's a broad strokes approach to construction, so it's covering plastering, tiling, some electrical work, various things that you would need to a handyman at a care home perhaps, but actually it works really well alongside our bathroom business because we can build on what they learn at college and prioritise the skills that we really want to develop for us.
we fundamentally restructured our business to be able to support the apprentices better and introduced 4 mentors. Those mentors take profit share in our business as well, because the better and more apprentices they bring on, the more profit we will make. What's your business going to look like in 10 years? How much of your installers are going to have retired?
Many businesses think that the apprenticeship process is complicated and difficult and it doesn't fit with their business. And I think what Emma and Peter have done here is to show that a small business can use the apprenticeship process to develop skills within their business.
Tradesmen are some of the highest paid people in our organisations. It's a great career for someone to consider, but it's a career that most of us don't really understand.
I would recommend an apprenticeship because you earn money while learning instead of getting into debt, going to university. It's also good if you're not academic, you're more hands-on, you've got more hands-on skills rather than academic skills. You grow your skills and you could always use them. At the end of the job, you have something you can stand back at and look at. I feel like in a desk job you don't have anything you can view. Whereas when we complete a bathroom, you can step back and go, I fitted that, I told that.
So it's like office jobs aren't much boring because you just sit there.
So the things you can do, whether that's just build the pay, is it like a culture you've got in your business, make people enjoy working with you and focus on them working with you, not for you.
Learning skills that you can use for the rest of your life. So even if you do one thing and you decide it's not for you, you can always go on to something else and learn a new skill, then you've got something else to fall back on.
So having that input from an employer like Adroit to say, actually, look, this is the kind of work we do, how can we develop that programme to make it fit us a little bit better? Something that we did with Adroit in the early days was thinking about the block release rather than the standard day release that a lot of providers, and we did too, was huge, and actually that brought on a lot more employers, which we hadn't thought about previously.
We haven't got a plan B, we have to get behind it, and yeah, it's high time that the industry really does wake up to that, sadly. That doesn't mean to say, however, that there aren't some people out there doing some great stuff, because there are, but we need to do more. It needs to be more than a pocket, it needs to be a widespread initiative that we embrace and move forward, but you know, government have got a bit of a part to play in that as well, to be fair. No, I think they're doing a great job. I think there needs to be more people like them doing a great job. But I have to say, I take my hats off them, and they're fully deserving to be here tonight. And I'm ever so grateful for them as a business to be doing what they're doing.
So if you're a construction company looking to take on an apprenticeship, take on an apprentice, some of the benefits will be being able to engage them into the ethos of your company, being able to train them to do the particular types of work that you do. We know that lots of the apprenticeships out there are very generic and not always as specific for your particular company. But also that investment that you can continue to grow and basically support the skills gap that we've got within our industry right now.
For decades, the KBB sector in the UK has thrived on the backs of masters of their trade. But look closely at our showrooms. Look at our workshops and installation sites. The hands building our industry are ageing. The gap in skills is widening. And the question we must all face is no longer just how we build, but who will build it tomorrow.
Mentors, installers, recently qualified apprentices, current apprentices, and our operations.
That video was made in collaboration with Adroit Services, and the Department of Education sponsored it as well, and Sensitech, and again, a few familiar faces in the room. So I think it's a great example of what you can achieve, and if you look big picture, not just, I think you said it perfectly earlier, Peter, not just thinking with the mindset that it's going to go wrong and they're going to leave. You can't go into it with that kind of mindset because you'll never do it. You've got to go into it with the mindset that any employee can leave. And if they leave, they leave, but at least we're trying to do something for the wider industry to support it. So no expense spared. I drew up some of the 5 pillars on the foam boards at the back there. and I think there's some post-it notes around, and I feel like for the studio audience, if there's anything you guys feel that we've missed, you want to write down on a post-it note, you want to chuck on the board. Yes, thank you, Maya. I didn't know they were going to duck out. Can't listen to me for 2 hours. Yeah, bye-bye. There's some hats and some heads to win at a dance competition, I believe. So yeah, great one. So I think because we're all in unison, people, skills and careers, so I'm going to pose a question to the room. Like I say, studio audience, if you would like to add anything to the board, or if we missed anything from the 15 pillars, we can talk about that. But I think we're going to go through the pillars in turn, and my question to the room, if somebody would like to pick it up, is how do you attract, develop and retain people in your industry? What is your success? What are you doing that's proved really positive, so we can all learn from a success story, and maybe that's something that we can all contribute to. So who would like to take the baton? I do have a gavel, by the way, and I'm not afraid to use it, so I'm not going to throw it, but yes, you know, I have got a gavel, so may be used, may not, but who would like to take that question and run with it? Somebody?
I'll start.
Right.
So yeah, no secret around some of the work that we do. I think for me, clarity is the most important thing, having a clear plan of action. I think we run the risk as an industry to continue furiously agreeing that there's a problem. And we're all very well intentioned and great people around this table and beyond in other tables having similar conversations. But our view is slightly different. We need to get on with it.
You represent the installer, don't you? You're
Yes.
representing them. Are they coming to you saying that they're struggling to recruit, or they're struggling to get into the industry?
So there's a couple of things. So yes is the answer to that. So yes, they are struggling to recruit. The whole world and their dog is struggling to recruit. There's this misconception that they're struggling to connect. I remind them that they're not struggling to connect. There is nothing to connect with. Some interesting statistics, which I'm not going to bore you too much with. But 2024 to 2028, in order to just simply meet demand, our industry needs to recruit another 240,000 people. Just think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
200, that's just to meet the housing target. Right now, as we sit here today, the vacancies sit at 140,000. So there's a lot of scope for bringing people in. Now, our plan, to go back to your question, what you're doing about it, is, well, really simple. We've created, for the first time, a manifesto where we've laid out to ourselves and to the entire industry what we're going to do. We play a small part in that. We don't, you know, we're not professioned to own this. We really don't. We just play a part in it. And as such, the plan around that is set out within the manifesto. I'm not going to go through this in great detail today, but you can get a copy of it. What I will say though, if you don't mind,
go for it,
because the question was posed,
and
that was what you're doing.
Yeah.
The one thing that we are doing is that we are engaging school leavers way before school leavers. It's too late. Okay, let me be really clear with you. By the time they get to 14 and 15, they've made their decision. Their parents have made their decisions as to what they want from their children, and the kids themselves have made their decision as to what they want. So hitting them at that age is too late. Similarly, if we do hit them at that age now, we haven't got the capacity to take them on. We haven't. People aren't taking them on at the rate that they need to.
So we can attract them, but then we don't have
Correct.
the resources.
And we've got examples of that. You know, we had a waiting list 2 years ago of 350 students that wanted an apprenticeship, and we placed 2.
Oh, that is, yeah.
Poor. So we've changed and amended our plan, and because we feel that it's smart to do so, and we've created a school engagements program in the southeastern Anglia, which is a test bed. We're actually starting that journey in year 7, but we're not, in year 6, which is the end of primary school. Not just for the students, but for the parents, because the parents play a key role in their children. Of course they do. Kids can go home and say, I want to be a fitter, but if the parent says, no, you will not, which in many instances they do, that becomes a problem. So we've got a joint program in place where we're working with year 6 but not just randomly seeing them in year 6 and hoping that over the next 5 years they'll make the right decision. We will continue to visit those same children over their 5-year educational cycle, and at the end of it, we will then have, hopefully, we will be in a better place to be able to place them.
A great initiative.
Thank you.
Really great. So the rest of the room, is that an initiative that you guys can take advantage of? Is that an initiative that will actually assist, support, and help you, and how can you get involved? Are you doing something similar? Is there something in your businesses that reflects that?
I was just going to add to that, David. Could relate to so much of what you had said. That I literally had the same conversation recently about school leavers, and it's just too late at that point, at 15, 16, etc. And one thing that we are doing at Howdens is we're looking at our whole apprenticeship strategy essentially, and what we are seeing is that yes, young people are expressing an interest in coming in, but we're actually seeing a trend that more experienced people are as well. So like professionals, white collar workers, concerned about AI, and I think because of that they're looking to future-proof themselves really, and and move into the trade. So we're actually like funneling it now. So we don't just want to put all our eggs into the young person's basket, although it is a really key route in for the business. But because of that, there's just so many different parts to this plan where we're trying to basically double the number of apprentices that we've got.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, Aaron. Just thinking, is there any chance that you would run masterclasses on that? That you're saying it's successful, you're saying you're running a successful program. Is there an opportunity that you could run a masterclass for the wider industry that could come to you guys? And back to Emma and Peter, is there opportunity that you could run workshops or masterclasses? So it's quite a complicated system, the apprenticeship system, isn't it? I believe. You just start looking at it one day and then the phone rings and you think, I can't get into this right now. I've struggled to get my head around it. Is there an opportunity for an action point already for you to say that you will run a masterclass that people can attend to actually, what does success look like?
Yeah, I think it'd definitely be like some examples of best practice that we could all share. I'm definitely not saying that we're perfect, because we're not. We look at our retention and it's probably in line with industry, and for us at Howdens that's just really good enough. That's something we're really challenging ourselves on at the moment. So I think there would be a definite opportunity to share best practice. I'd welcome other ideas as well of how we could get better, because we've made mistakes. There's things that we've done that haven't quite landed properly. Some specific examples just now. We're running a trial in the northwest, so across 5 major cities, and we're looking to bring in a number of design apprentices. And essentially we didn't have a set number of apprenticeships available. It was more about how many good quality people can we find. We will find them an apprenticeship. Unbelievable the lack of response that we got, particularly in Newcastle and Sheffield. Just a really low number of people who expressed an interest, which was quite frustrating. Liverpool and Manchester, totally different. So I don't know if there's some regional geography coming in.
We went in a different direction. We've actually sort of stepped back from pushing the industry as such. So we focused more on the roles and less on the industry. So it might not be music to the ears of this room in a way, in that we're not pushing the KBB industry per se. But what we've had a lot of success in is we've led on the breadth and scope of the roles available within the sector, so that we don't just get pigeonholed as being seen as one thing. And for us, that's given us significant success. We've got a relatively small labour base in the scheme of things. Obviously, our manufacturing base is actually overseas, so our operation in the UK is more kind of sales, marketing, distribution. But yeah, that sort of subtle change of tact has served us pretty well, really. But then for me, as I say, it's then just about how do we then nurture those along the way from the point of view of retention, because attraction isn't really our issue as such. But I think for me, we've probably got to change our own mindset as a business and get more into the headspace of kind of that continual development piece, and that's where I think the retention for us will improve significantly, because we kind of see training and development as a set piece activity rather than, you know, an everyday kind of promise we make as a duty of care as an employer. And I think that's probably where we've maybe missed the trick in recent years.
Can I just make a quick point? I just wanted to say, I started talking about the word communication right at the very beginning, and this session really is about solutions this time around, guys. And Damien's given everybody a really clear, solution, which I think is really, really special, should be commended. If everybody here around the table wants to go into education once in a year, that's going to make a difference. It's just given that commitment to doing that's a solution. So tomorrow I'm going into Northampton School tomorrow to talk to 360 students tomorrow. But also taking a point about, we're talking to the parents too. It's also talking to the teachers. I've spoken to teachers before that say no one's actually trained, it's trained the trainer about what the options are as well. So I've spoken to teachers and working groups as well.
Careers advisors,
right?
Can we get to those?
That's right, and then you go on to the things like the old-fashioned. So there's an old-fashioned work experience. How can we as a business take people in and give them, open people's eyes? We're doing it. We've got someone coming in very shortly, haven't we?
Next month.
Derek, you've got a point to make.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand a bit of breadth around how young people or those slightly older are attracted into the industry. Clearly apprenticeships we've talked about, and we know something about that, and there's initiatives taking off, and school engagement, I agree with Damien, is absolutely core and central, and the earlier the better. But if you like, the apprenticeship programme is very much the icing on the cake. It's very much the good practice model. You're either really into it or you're very frightened of it. It seems to go like that. Yeah. But you have to realise that there are other ways that young people are getting into the industry, if you like, or installation in particular. Because we have large numbers of people entering full-time programmes in colleges 3 or 4 days a week. They're doing work experience alongside. We're talking about hundreds of these people. And the destinations of these people vary. Sometimes they go out into apprenticeships, which is great. Sometimes they just go out into work. But there's opportunity to tackle, if you like, this very broad number of people at that stage, which is sort of 16 to 19 plus, where you have this pool of people who are actually a little bit more mature now, a little bit more work focused, if you like, than a 16-year-old, and they're very attractive for employers to get hold of. And of course, you can either move them onto an apprenticeship or you can just employ them and use your own training program. So I think we have to understand the other avenues there besides apprenticeships.
Can I just add to your point there? On the way here, I asked our HR manager to give me a bit more stats with regards to what our hiring practices are, and she sent me an email just basically breaking down that on average, 35% of all the people we hire into our organisation come in straight after college or during the college period. And our retention age, is the average person stays with us for 7 to 10 years. And what's interesting is a lot of these people are grown within the role. Now, Simon might know this more than anybody else, but this is the only industry I've ever worked in. I came into this industry when I was 16, working for a multinational retailer, and then I was trained to learn the CAD softwares, and that's the direction that I ended up ultimately working in. But the interesting thing was, it was similar to some of the things that everyone is mentioning. It wasn't perceived as a positive career focus, and even, for example, one of the challenges, I know that you did the initiative up north with regards to trying to get designers on board. It's another dynamic. You go into showrooms, most of the designers are not young, and they don't really see bathroom design as design, so it's one of the challenges that we're facing. And I think the main thing that I want to bring to the table now is, yes, I do the university tours, I do the colleges, I do, opportunities to coach people in the space. But what I find is it feels like it's just a drop in a massive ocean and doesn't do much. And I think that what I'm mainly interested in is how can we collaborate on these initiatives? Because I would have loved to know about that initiative you done up north, because then we would have supported that. you know, with regards to our expertise, you know, dealing with design software and attracting designers. So there's so many things that we would love to be a part of, but it's just how do we bring those things together?
Yeah, so that's great. Anybody else got anything to add just briefly? Toby?
I think you're right. The outreach piece, I think, is the responsibility in this room, because I think the smaller businesses that are maybe thinking about onboarding an apprentice, the reality is they're then challenged with, what do I give them to do? How much time can I give to keeping them engaged with what they need to be learning? And, you know, to be able to offboard them to a large corporate person, you know, who's then going to take care of some of those topics is really what we need to be talking about. It's easy when, you know, I'm from a commercial background and you're a large business, but it's easy for you to create that program. But I think to really make it work, we have to go back to the independent, that one person that they're going to onboard and hopefully is going to stay for 20, 30 years and be a future leader. We have to look at how do we support that activity. And the other point I wanted to make was that the reward is not the end of the apprenticeship. The reward is all the way through. And, you know, at Blum, we've always rewarded on the basis that an Austrian company, we are a little bit, we like measurement. And yeah, in a way, our apprentices are all measured along their journey, and actually they're remunerated on the basis of what their output is. And I think that's how you keep people incentivized to stay.
Also, what's the career progression as well for these people? So
Where
it's
do
all
you
well
go
and good attracting them in. They go into other professions where they can actually map out their career from the day that they're in. So for me, it's attracting people in the first place, but it's creating that ecosystem as well, and that, you know, continued development and things beyond that to be able to keep them interested, keep them engaged, and drive more people into the industry.
I've got a question from YouTube audience. Job centers are full of skilled people who just need to help finding a job. Simon, can you comment this, please? So, job centers, they are full of skilled people. They just need help finding a job.
Could you go to a careers day at a job centre? Do they run careers days? Do they invite industry into job centres to actually deliver content or inspire?
I would say if they are skilled, they would probably contact recruitment agencies like ours, for example. I'm just trying to, respond to the audience.
I think Daphne would like to make a point.
Yes, if I could. I'm sat here reflecting as somebody brand new into the bathroom sector, and it has actually come from the Chartered Institute of HR. So this stuff is it's very interesting. So when you come in new to this sector, and I'm sharing my kind of reflections, there are a lot of people that have been in this sector for a very long time, and I think sometimes that can be a challenge when you're trying to attract external candidates to come into this industry. There isn't a lot out there. So, for me, coming out, into this industry, there wasn't a huge amount that really told me about the bathroom sector. And once you're in it, it's a wonderful place to be. But I think there's more work to do, and really it's systemic. It is at the kind of school level. But I think in terms of HR, it's the world I've come from. There's maybe some capability building within our HR teams to really get them to think about more sophisticated ways to attract into the industry, and then how do you retain and how do you build those career paths that are meaningful, because that's probably not as visible in some of the other sectors that I've kind of faced into. So I think there's the kind of school level, but then I think we've got a real opportunity to kind of work with our HR and our L&D teams. And I'm talking from the kind of bathroom sector. We're a very small team at a trade association, but there is something about how do we mobilise different roles, how do we kind of create different roles within the industry. Often you'll lose people because it's probably not seen as the kind of sexy industry over there, but actually there are some fantastic roles in this industry, and I'm just not sure that people really know what they are and what those career paths are. So I think there's an opportunity with the organisations that have got larger HR teams, or even smaller ones, that how do we kind of create another opportunity to help them innovate, to attract and retain people within the
I'll come to you in a minute, and come to Peter in a minute as well, because I can see you both got something to say. But but because we're talking about challenges, and we know what the challenges are, and I'm hearing a lot of challenges, I'm thinking about actions now, and I think me and Simon are quite keen to have solutions and actions. And as you've all been talking, I've started to write down, Brandon, your idea of going to HR and doing a litmus test, you know, doing a benchmark of what's actually happening in your business right now. It might be that we, as a collective, go back to our HR departments, we ask them for the picture today, and then in 12 months' time we can see whether we've moved the needle and whether things are changing and progressing. Because I think each time we get into this is the problem, but I think if in our HR departments and as a collective we drew a line under it and said this is today's picture, we need to now take this forward, and when we come back together in 6 months or 12 months' time, we've all got a statistic, an actual figure. I think your idea of pulling all the HR departments together and having a cooperative of HR departments across the industry, Bloom's HR department talking to your HR department, talking to your HR department, there's a lot of shared best practice there and a lot of knowledge in the room. And HR and D, it's not just HR anymore, is it human resources, it's about development. Where are you guys going, who are you engaging? So I think having introducing all of the HR and development managers in the room would be a great start, because they're the experts. So that would be a great one. Tapping into Damien's initiative, I think we can all get on board. We can all support the schools initiative, going into schools, engaging parents. Derek, getting in early, talking to parents.
Sorry, Amanda, just
career days.
I think you're right. Listen, just to be really clear with everyone around the table, to give you the stark reality of it, you can help if you want. If you don't, it won't happen.
Yeah, we've got to help, we've got to support. There's an initiative already in place, and I think it's there, put for us on the plate. So I think it's when these initiatives come to the fore, if we don't get on board and we don't back them, we're never going to move this forward. But Mark?
I just wanted to, I know this is the KBB future, so this is, we're talking about the whole industry. But we think about back to when did this panic start? It started right after COVID. And this gentleman started speaking about installers, and we started speaking about trades. That's where the problem was. We didn't have an installer. Manufacturers, no manufacturer, we were able to get the parts. We were able to manufacture. Retailers were able to sell, but we couldn't get anybody to fit them. And so we're here, we talk about manufacturers trying to get apprentices in, we talk about trying to get designers in. Is that the real problem? The real problem to me is trades. That's the problem with the house building. We've got all these businesses. These are just individual problems to me. The big problem is the trades. And if we don't get the and again we talk about apprentices are great, we need it, but we need the businesses to be able to take on the trade on those apprentices. So if we don't support those businesses, how do we ever change things? So I ask everybody to support businesses, reach out to the businesses that you work with that actually install, and see what you can do for them. But we all need a base to start from, and the base is a business manifesto.
As big businesses, we talk about products and services, and we generally relate that to our customers, don't we? These are our products, these are our supplementary services. But like you say, how can we support our customers in their challenges that they face?
A manufacturer can reach out to an installer. Say, you know, how could we support your business? How could we sponsor your business?
Great, thank you.
We've seen examples over here actually.
Peter, I'm going to come to you.
Yeah, so we talked about challenges before the meeting, and you said, well, let's talk about solutions. So for us, the purpose of doing that filming journey is to try and demystify that process for those SMEs that are worried or scared, as the people are scared or they're completely on it. Let's get that middle ground. Let's encourage people, understand, signpost to support. That's the purpose of that video journey.
So Peter, Emma, are you open to being that? If people want to come to you for advice about how you've done it, what's happened, what successes, how to navigate the program, are you happy to be, a voice in the industry? So people, you've done the video, you've shown us all what success looks like, best practice. There's an opportunity there to tap into something. And I think again, going back to Aaron's point, if we can use Howden's or anyone else in the room as workshops, come up and talk to you guys as well, or you can deliver deliver workshops or best practice on that. So I think.
Can I just expand slightly on that? In that 2 of our apprentices have been sponsored by manufacturers, and in essence that's been a good PR coup for them and for us for that support. But there is more that can be done. But these bigger manufacturers, the AI is going to fit bathrooms. So if we can get people with the manufacturers, you need to create that workforce with us. You have those HR departments, you have those mentor schemes in place that SMEs are going to struggle to develop. We've done our own, but we've had advice from the likes of Ideal Standard, from Gebra, who've sponsored our services. That's been really valuable for
I
us.
totally agree with you there. In my experience, sorry Simon, my experience of working for a large multinational as well is we always use the phrase, we can't run an apprenticeship scheme in the UK because we don't manufacture. We have a manufacturing abroad in Austria. I mean, there's no bones about who I worked for before, Toby. We've got a huge apprenticeship scheme, 300 apprenticeships every year. We've always said, well, we can't really do an apprenticeship scheme in the UK. And that doesn't mean to say we couldn't sponsor, saying we still, we couldn't sponsor an apprenticeship in another manufacturing area. We could be, we could place apprenticeships.
When you say
your own business, Emma, I've got one other, who somebody else in the room wanted to make a comment. Yeah, it was Owen. Yeah, can we go to Owen first and then I'll come to you, Emma?
Well, I've got one too,
Sorry.
I think Damien and Sam's commendable work, attacking year 6, year 7, I mean, they're probably not going to enter the workplace till 2030, 2032.
They're going to add no value
right now
to what we need, right now.
And Aaron's point about the second career pivot, I think, with AI automation, we're probably going to see a huge generation of people entering into their second career, maybe 15, 20 years younger than normal, because they're about to be made unemployed in the next 2 to 3 year period.
Yeah.
Now I'm going on a third point, which is our independent sector have an awful lot of very profitable, hard to sell businesses, and particularly in KBSA and KBBG membership, probably north of 50 would be the average age of an independent kitchen retailer. It feels like there's a marriage there somewhere. If we can connect the dots on, you've got a second career, maybe you've got a little bit of exit money from your first career. How do we convince these people to become business owners and responsible and enter our part of the industry?
I think that's a really, really valid point. As AI is taking over, people are going to have to pivot careers because their jobs aren't going to be there in 5 to 10 years' time. So they are going to. Owen, did you have another?
World Economic Forum says within the next 3 years.
Within the next 3 years.
It's
Okay.
not 10 years.
The next 10 years. It's on our doorstep.
It's in the house.
It's here.
It's in the house.
Trevor, sorry, and I was going to call you Laura, but I knew you weren't a Laura. So it's all got messed up over there.
But most people who know me know that I'm not usually very quiet, and I've been very quiet through this up till now. So it's time to slip me tuppence.
Enlighten us, Trevor.
Enlighten you a little bit, yeah. But as a small independent retailer employing about 14 direct members of staff and a similar number of subcontract installers, the biggest problem I see for independent retailers is resource. We don't have the time, the money, or the energy to do most of this grunt work ourselves to bring a younger generation, a new generation into the industry, whether that be on a commercial level in perhaps the design roles or on the skills side of the industry. And I see it as a funnel really, and I see the top of the funnel being the large multinationals or the large multi-million-pound businesses. And I'm looking directly at you here, Aaron, and to a lesser extent yourselves as well, Toby. Is that I feel that a lot of these sort of commercial apprenticeships or skill-based apprenticeships really need to start at a much grander level. Because if you're looking at me, and you're looking at Peter to do this, all we're doing is nibbling around the edges. We're going to make, in global scheme of things, we're going to make pretty much zero impact in how it changes throughout society.
So we need a wide.
We need a wide funnel at the top that is funded, sponsored by big industry, and that trickles down and reaches the likes of us. That's a certain point.
That's a house law you want. You do one little thing, collectively it makes a big difference, and that's when we join the institute, join an association.
Yeah. If we want to find 250,000 people, we're not going to do it by 3 of them.
And that's
just communicate. Even if you haven't got
realistic
time to go to school, but just communicate. Well, I think somebody mentioned before signposts to somebody else, whether it be Emma and Peter or whoever.
I'm gonna come to Emma in the room. Emma.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got a few thoughts. I know I'm not on the table.
That's okay.
I could have been on the table, but I was somewhere else. We've been volunteering since we met Simon at this show 2 years ago, and he and Mark reignited we'd lost an apprentice, it had all gone wrong, we almost had to give up, and we realised no, we needed to carry on and do something about it, so we did. In those 2 years, there are people in the independent KBB industry that actively avoid me because they know I'm going to bang on about apprentices. So I think not only do we need to reach out to schools, we do need to reach out to those indies, and they need to take some ownership of it as well. And I do like your comment just then, Trevor, but I don't want the trickle down of the sheds, all due respect. I want people to do a bathroom our way, which is what we are, award-winning bathroom installers. So they need to do our way, and that's why we've taken the time to develop that framework, which has taken an awful lot of work. So we have people that come in and do the job the way we need them to do it. So, yeah.
It's the passion that drives the change.
Yes, you have to have the will, and you have to want to do it. Yes, it's like most things in life. It's
Can I ask a question about just some of the practicalities of that? Because you talked a bit about sponsoring. So what does that actually mean in reality? Is that the gifting of the levy pot down the food chain, so to speak?
Yes.
Yeah.
So bigger businesses are paying into the levy, so that money is being generated by the KBB industry, and it is there for other smaller businesses to tap into.
Is that clearly understood though, how a levy pot is gifted down? Because that, I think, is an area that is really misunderstood.
If it isn't, then I think there's a good action to come from
That's
that.
why I wanted to get it on the table, because I think that really is misunderstood.
We've done that as well. So houses have transferred levy to smaller businesses.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
there's
So that
perhaps a
pot's
session
available for everybody to use. I think there's just a roadblock to understanding the information, to getting access to it, to having the time, resources and energy to actually drive it forward. But that pot there, and it is available.
Tens of millions of pounds worth of money is sat there doing nothing.
And it's a reciprocal benefit, right? Because for the bigger blue chip, you get that CSR, kind of goodwill, if you like, as well, and it fits in with that from a strategic standpoint as well.
Yeah, that money's there.
It's a tax you're paying already.
It is a tax you're paying already. You get a choice of where to spend it though, unlike your normal taxes.
If anybody wants to know about our journey on that, please do reach out and talk to us, and we'll tell you what it's looked like for us to date. But most of it is stuff that you guys are already doing. You're supporting an apprentice, but you're doing it through the mentor support. You've probably already got mentor systems. You've already got this stuff set up. It's great PR for you, and you get more ownership from us because we start looking at these businesses who we want to deal with.
Which I think is admirable. Sorry, mate. And just based on your point about pissing in the Thames to fill it up, you're not going to do it, right? But on your sorry, because I know we're okay, gavel.
Yes.
Your point is and you're admirable in saying come talk to us. That's not going to bother you. You'll become a full-time agency of advice and guidance. I think what we need to do, what you need to do, is feed in your experience as you have done here into somewhere central that is shared. Because people picking up the phone to you is great, you'll help one or two, that's going to have no effect on you.
Right, Andy, let's have
It's a relevant point. When we say we need to, who is we?
Who is we? Yeah, good
Is it
point,
KBB
Andy.
Futures?
Is it us? Yes. So
Play devil's advocate. Daphne's here from the Bathroom Association.
Yeah.
It's an ignorant question here because I'm not directly into legal KBB sector. Who represents the Kitchen Association, the kitchen body?
Well, we've got
KBSA.
KBSA, okay. So I pose the question, sort of turning Trevor's point invertedly. From where I've come from in the independent, well, from builders merchanting, it's not just independents, it's independents and nationals. We have the Builders and Merchants Federation at the top of that. If there was an industry issue, BMF represents a huge proportion of the merchanting industry, not all of it, because some people choose not to be part of it, which is fine. So the BMF sit with construction industry manufacturers, they sit with construction industry employers, they sit in the Construction Products Association. The BMF, with its therefore partners, lobby government. So we need to be clear who we are, and I would suggest in terms of trying to get some action, somebody, and I would suggest somebody, I think the association is the best person to do this, because associations like associations, is talk to the BMF. The BMF set an initiative last year, Simon referred to it in December, to target 15,000 new apprentices in the builders merchant sector. That was merchants and suppliers. It got there within a fraction of the time frame we set. But there'll be a lot of experiences, I therefore assume, within the BMF to share their experiences, what they're doing, their initiatives. Now, I'm not part of the BMF, but if I could facilitate the introduction, I'll happily do that. The chief executive of the BMF. Trade association to trade association, you talk the same language. And so.
A great point, because that's a real action that we could all, make an apprenticeships pledge, all come together and have it, like you say, rather than relying on individual businesses, come together with the associations.
Associations are great, but only if they're supported. All of them. If you're a kitchen retailer, join the KBSA. If you're a bathroom manufacturer operating a bathroom, join the BA. Don't just talk about it, get on with it. I'm sorry, I've been doing this a long time, Amanda, and I sit in these forums.
That's what we want in the room, we want challenge.
Just do it, don't talk about it, do it.
We can't keep talking about it, we've got to do it. And I think that's why we're best placed in the room to pull this all together. Andy, are we best placed in the room? Are we the people that are going to make this? Because that's why we've all turned up today. That's why we all turned up 6 months ago, is to actually say to the industry, we've put our names on these seats, and we walk away from here today, creating some kind of pledge that we are the people that are going to drive this forward. And I think one of the action points at the end of today was for us to vote in a facilitator. If we were all in agreement, somebody who could take this on in between, because we all leave here, we go back to our day jobs and our desk jobs. We really need to try to think about voting in a facilitator who's going to be pushing this, driving this, connecting the dots, this fragmentation we talked about earlier. That is the key. Somebody who's got the time. Who's got the time? Nobody. But somebody who can actually put their, so start thinking whether you can put your name in the hat, whether you know somebody that you can volunteer to put their name in the hat, because between these sessions, we've all come to here today, put our name in the hat ready, put our bums on these seats to say that we are activists. We're already wanting change, we're going to drive change. And these action points, I think, because we are, yes, Trevor?
Well, what you're saying, exactly really. Wild West, Jamie. Yeah. So for the sake of argument, KBSA, you're Dodge City. The BA, you're, I don't know, you're New York. Biffus,
South London.
You're the East End of London. You're you're the Cratwins.
We'll take that.
There's two of them.
And then we've got the likes of Simon, the voice of reason at the top of the pyramid. So kind of where I'm seeing the potential for this group or organisation to go is for those organisations that have got a point but are currently going over there, over here, down there, is to push it all through.
We need a portal, and we need somebody pushing this all together.
And that voice then becomes the recognised voice of all of those subcategorised independent organisations.
The creation of another association.
We need another association. That's actually what we don't need, but we don't need
not another
to all be
association.
working in silos.
It's
we
a
don't
collaborative
need to be
body. It's a
collaborative. It's a collaboration between them. We're not going to just
It's already happening though, with all due respect, it's already happening. So we see a collaboration between us, and that was last week, but it's been going on for 20 years. We see a collaboration between us and CRPHE.
Okay, so I'm going to pose a question to you. You've got collaboration going. What's the output of that? What
We have just signed an MOU. I've come in and I very much, so we had a great relationship for 20 years, but I think relationships have to have purpose, and this is why this is very interesting actually, listening to it, and somebody coming in new again. I'm using a new card a lot today. What I see is that this is a great forum, but actually we need more strategic alliances with real commitment and action. So whilst we can all say we're all associations and we all have, we can all go out, we can speak to our members, but we need to be really crystal clear about what that looks like and what that means. And I think, whilst I want to strategically align with other associations, we just have to be really, really clear about what that looks like. We haven't met, for example, yet. I don't think so. I've met with Damien, but you know, what is the one thing we've all talked about it today? It's future skills. I think that is about installer, but I think it's about the industry, our industries more broadly. This room needs to look different in a few years. You know, I'm going to be really honest. You know, this is some of the systemic challenge we've got in the industry. You know, we know exactly what I'm saying. You know, well, yes, gender diversity, absolutely, but also, you know, this is why I'm talking about the kind of retention piece and bringing new thinking, new perspectives into the industry as well. So I think, you know, there is a real opportunity to work across it. I don't know whether we've tried to do that before and failed. I don't know. You know, here's a new opportunity to kind of strategically align, not just the handshakes and the few drinks in a club. It's actually let's absolutely, and maybe let's not make it complicated. Let's just focus on one thing. Because whilst we've got all these pillars, my concern is we are all very busy people.
Well, that was the point I was going to get onto, and I was going to ask a vote in the room, because we've got 5 pillars, and I'm conscious of time, and I think it's going to run away with us. We have got, this seems like the main charged topic: people, skills, recruiting, onboarding, everything we've all been discussing. We've got technology and innovation. That was going to be our next topic. So I was going to say to the room, let's take a vote. We can either go around and say what's the one action point we all want to get behind for this particular initiative, people and skills. What's the one action point we can take away today or want to throw into the hat in the room? Or we can, again, I feel like if we move on to the next topic, when we haven't got an action point for this topic, we're going to get into a debate on the next one and the next one and the next one. So if I read out all 5 pillars, and everybody gives a show of hands to say whether they would like them discussed in the room. So we have the people's skills and careers, charged one. We've got professionalism and standards within the industry. Not to say that any of these are less than the other, but I feel like there's some that may be more of a priority, or there's more urgency. Technology and innovation, collaboration and communication, and I think when we talk about the people's topic, this all seems to come to the fore anyway, doesn't it? Collaboration, market and future opportunities. Is there any, where do we want to go next? Do we want to stick with people's skills and careers and actually really pin down some action points before we leave today?
Well, so 1, 2 and 4 are all smooshed together.
Yes.
It's the people, the skills, careers, professionals and standards, get the right people, train them the right way, and then the collaboration and communication. We all need to work together.
Like you say, they're not in silos, they are all melted together. So I think when we're discussing one topic, they're all, you know, they're all coming into play. Whereas I think if we fix the people, skills and careers, we will fix the rest.
I think Brandon said a really good point about understanding. It's like there's an initiative going on. Where do we understand where those initiatives are going on? Who can get involved in those things? If you know about it, you can get involved. And I think whilst everyone's doing what they do, it's not commonly known potentially. So maybe there could be a solution. How do we funnel that information to some kind of central point potentially? That seems to be an issue.
And a consistent
not an
cadence.
association.
Sorry, Brandon, shout.
Consistent cadence, you know, that you can have meetings that you can have like, you know, remote meetings to discuss the next steps.
Yeah.
But I feel like the you know, there's a lot of initiatives that we would like to get a part of. Not all of them, but there's some that are really important to us, you know, as a technology organization. However, you know, we don't know about them, and let's be honest, as much as, you know, we do marketing, when I go on LinkedIn, it's not really the place where I look for initiatives to work on, and unless there's a relationship, it's very unlikely that that's going to happen.
Just to finish that point, if I could, which I'd like, I mean, it's directors Damien as well here. So the last session, which was 6 months ago at the brewery in London, we created a Slack forum so people to put this information to a central place. And I'll be very direct. Disappointingly, 3 people joined that forum. Andy was one of them. Thank you, Andy. And I think that's just it. We're all busy people. We walk out of the room and it just doesn't have any legs. So that's why Amanda mentioned earlier that the proposal is to have some kind of facilitator. Look, you can't do everything. Take Daphne's point. You can't do everything. Pick a few key things. How can we support each other?
And how can we put a spotlight on some of the great things that are happening that you might not know about and only come across by chance? Like you say, it's only in discussions with people that you meet in passing that these things get a spotlight on them, and you go, I didn't know about that. How many times have we said that around industry? So it's maybe having a central place where people can say, I've got something to shout about, I've got a great initiative, we've got something that's worked really well, we've got something that we can start spearheading, and have a central place where we all commit in the room to putting best practice and highlighting. Again, we're not creating anything new, Damien, to go back to your point, because we don't want to double up on the work. We're just putting a spotlight on it. I think that's all we're trying to do.
I'll throw a hat in the ring. We've got an app, which is not our app, it's your app. And if we want to create a space on that app where we share ideas, where we share outputs, it's yours, it's not mine. We don't own it, yeah?
Okay. So that's
I'm more than happy to create a space within that for all of you to contribute, whatever you feel necessary.
That's great.
Whether that's spending levy money, whether that's an initiative that you may be driving, whether it's details about collaboration, whether it's what you guys might be doing, whether it's what you're thinking about doing, and so on. There is a space there, it's available to you. You have my absolute support to support you in creating that.
Well, that's great. That's absolutely great. And then, yes,
Sorry,
Andrew.
I've been very quiet.
You have been very quiet, unsurprisingly. I was wondering when you were going to come to life at the back of the room there.
But look, we're a publisher. We publish information all the time. I don't know anything about all these initiatives either.
But
Right? And that's literally what my job is.
Yeah.
So I'm more than happy to highlight initiatives. If there's positive things going on, I'm more than happy to talk about it. That's kind of what we do, but I don't know what's happening either. And therefore, there has to be some kind of channel of communication out towards us. Yeah, PR is one thing, but PR is changing very rapidly and how that works. And sometimes the stories might not sound particularly sexy because it's not about any product you've got out, but actually, these are good stories to tell, and we're happy to tell those stories. And look, I'm not going to go off on one, I promise. We're going to go on that.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I'm going to throw this down.
But you're not going to fix or solve or move any arguments forward. As David well knows, this has been 20 years.
You've done it.
20 years, nothing's ever moved forward.
Yeah,
You're not going to solve anything to do with appealing to people's benevolence. It's just not going to work. And there's some very well-meaning people in the room, and you're all here for the right reasons. This is absolutely true. But until you can highlight that you're going to get more out than you put in, no one's going to get involved. Right? And if I can contribute to that by saying I can publicise your stories and what you're doing, great. There's a PR element, so that's the only bit that I can offer. But until everyone around the room is, and every bit of the other bit of the industry, is honest about that they want more out of it than they put in, and therefore are very clear about what they want out of it.
But do we have to move away from this, unless there's something in it for me, I don't want to get involved mentality, or do we just
No, because that's a fundamental human truth.
Yeah, it is. Completely agree. But if we all decide in the room that that's the way we're going to play it, then we might as well just get up and leave.
You've got to make the case for that the apprenticeship is an actual business benefit to you, as an example. It has improved and grown your business as a result.
And there are.
That's the only thing that will appeal to other businesses.
So we need to shout more about the benefits and less about the challenges.
Yeah, because benevolence won't solve anything.
No.
No, and the process is one thing, but the benefit is the big kicker that's going to actually.
Yeah.
Toby.
I think I'm going to chunk down on what Daphne said, where it's actually the shape of the room in my head. So we've talked about a few things. The people in this room are a little bit time poor and maybe highly emotional about this topic, and we're all probably thinking, how do I represent my brand or my business in the best way possible? I would like to propose the first step, and somebody said it, is to get the experts in the room. This is a people topic. All of us have access to heads of people or people managers, HR persons, people who are responsible for culture within their businesses, and we facilitate that. And I think, you know, Simon is an expert in understanding what a good job description looks like. I think that's another thing we need to unravel is, does it, you know, do we actually spend enough time making it sound sexy? And actually you're someone that's probably reading those things over and over again, and as business owners we might not actually be selling the dream. So, you know, putting people in the room, HR, recruitment, apprenticeship experts, associations, you know, professional bodies, rather than all the emotion that because really we're going round in circles, because we all know what we need to do, but the reality is we're time poor, and we're better facilitating some of the experts in our own businesses to talk about.
And I think we should meet more often around the very specific topics, probably.
So I will host it at Blum Milton Keynes if we can agree a date where we'll do a HR focus, a people focus on that. If everyone can volunteer someone in there, you know, an expert in their business.
That would be a great action point to take away as the other two action points about space, where we can start shouting about the benefits and putting a spotlight on success stories and the benefit to you and how you could benefit for this and what you're not doing that you should be doing. Having spaces to shout about those initiatives is great, and bringing together HR and development is also, because like you say, I think it is a people topic, you're right, Toby, and I think if we don't have the people experts in the room, we're not going to get very far with either.
They could become the subset though, so whilst we're all sat here going, have we got time? It's about creating the subsets within all the challenges that we're talking about that can help drive it. So we don't have to all do it ourselves, but there are definitely across all of those, there are experts, access to people who can drive separate conversations on behalf of all, you know, we can connect the dots across all of our industries.
And for some of the smaller businesses that don't necessarily have access to, you know, the HR manager may be doing a bit of promotions, a bit of social media, a bit of HR, a bit of review. Maybe, you know, they may actually do some fitting and installing. I don't know how businesses are set up these days, but maybe it's an opportunity for those smaller businesses to come and learn and get involved in wider industry initiatives. So yeah, that's a great one.
Jamie said something great in his opening about the challenges of the market, and I think, you know, legitimising our entire sector is such an important thing. And you mentioned pathway, which obviously, Peter, you know, your video is quite clear, demonstrating pathway, and I think that a group of HR managers presumably are the best placed people to kind of get together. I think that's a great idea, Toby. I really do.
Great, that sounds like
So, but today I learned more about BIFIS than I have in the last couple of years, and understanding that they are an institute that are there to support the industry. Now, we're Bathroom Association members, that's there for bathrooms. I think the focus needs to edge towards BIFIS. It's not me blowing smoke. I really do think that we need to get more involved, because otherwise we're just shouting out the window. So we need to get involved and be part of those conversations to shape this, and these guys are legislated to do that. So I think that's where, after today, some of more of our effort needs to go towards supporting BIFIS, and I think that's the sort of clarion call. I think we need to start thinking, actually, these guys need more support.
Can you just end the meeting at that point?
Yeah. Damien, how many are you? You're 7, you're 8 people? Is that, you're 7 or 8 people?
We're 8 people.
Yeah.
We are 8 people. We are a small organisation. We've got a big mouth, and that's it. And the rest of it is dependent on everybody else. And we are not here in 12 months if you don't get behind it. There you go.
Which is great. And I think that's a valid point, but we don't want to put it all on your door. I think there's lots of things
But
we can also
we're a
do.
vehicle. We're not the solution. We're not the solution. I'm not the Messiah. We're not. We are just a vehicle. I'll tell you what we have got. We've got ministerial presence. So you want to talk about things that govern this country? I'll knock on the door, make it happen.
And that's pillar number 10 then, which is like probably the most important pillar. Who's going to be that person?
Yeah.
I love that number 10.
Who's going to be that person? Exactly.
And just to add, we've got a live example at the moment. So I've spoken today about apprenticeships at Howdens, but there's another key part to our plan going forward. So obviously we're looking at customers of the future, essentially. So 500,000 account holders at the moment. But to grow our business, we need more account holders, essentially. And so we've got a space where we can, you know, throw live examples out. I think probably the first one that I'll throw out there onto this app or at the session in Milton Keynes will be about how do we pull a collaboration together to drive apprentices into the industry. Obviously Howden's big business, you know, we recognise that we've got to take our share and contribute, but we've been having conversations about how do we get, you know, I was making jokes about turning up at Downing Street to try and get some funding for it, and obviously if you've got enough people round the table, whether it's marketing, PR, business, you know, associations, feel like we'd have enough people to get some traction.
Can I be cheeky with you, Aaron? Sorry, be cheeky. What you've built in part of your offering, which I think is great, is your business builder section.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Great, absolutely fantastic. Sits in your world, nobody else sees it. We've been in conversation with you to get that content on that app for free. No, nothing. Just get that information out to the wider.
Yeah.
Closed door. Come to you.
Right.
So, like, I'm not being cheeky, but you built something that's great. Let's share it then.
Let's share it. Yeah, let's tell them about
I
it.
also go back, I'd like to go back to just make that point again. A search in work showed you the where the chain was broken. It's installation. And so we could talk about all these different parts of the industry. If you don't, installation's the panic. I think you should fix that first and get installers and help installers.
Don't be afraid of AI as well, because when all of those people come into our sector, that's where we can be, only if we're prepared. We're not.
Can I chuck another thing out there in the room, just to see what everybody's thoughts are about it? We're talking about people. Do we make it attractive enough? Do we have, next thing along is talking about professionalism and standards, because we don't attach a knowledge to it, because we don't attach a certificate to it, because we don't have any professional standard, do people not see it as a viable career? It's oh well, it's the only thing that was available and I've fallen into it, my dad did it, mum did it, I got a job as a student. Do we need to start thinking about, and I come from a kitchen design background, and you can't tell one good kitchen designer from another because the industry is not regulated. There's no ology for kitchen designer. I can be hairdresser one day, kitchen designer the next. Do we need to, because we want people to be attracted to our industry, do we need to give some kind of standardization of, will that help us promote it long term? How do we tackle that?
I think linked to that, I think, and excuse me if it's a naive question, but is there a national body for helping us to get apprentices? Because I've got my contact centre of 5, I've got 3 under 30s, one of whom came through apprenticeship, fantastic experience for us and for him, and he's developed brilliantly. The other 2 should have been through apprenticeships, and we just gave up with the system in the end. Because our local provider, which is local college, they were great with the first lad because the contacts we had was on it, it was great. And the second and third opportunities were just lost to us. We just gave up on the process. We still found good young people through other routes. But so, and again, excuse me tonight, but is there some sort of national provider of apprenticeship? Because that would help us all, I guess. So we can put an industry input into it, what we're looking for, what skill sets we're looking for, and then it'll make it easier to actually navigate that process.
Maybe we need to get a bit more invested in the actual apprenticeship scheme itself. How is it written? What skills are they teaching? Not taking it off the shelf one.
It's already been done. It's already been done.
Peter's, you were saying you've sort of helped to build that in your business, haven't you?
Well, through BIFIS, we've been involved in the quality framework.
Yeah.
So we're
That's
helping
brilliant.
to find.
Emma, I'm going to come to you, my lovely.
There is the National Apprenticeship Service. Granted, it is very complicated to navigate your way around, but I can answer your question now because I just answered it for 3 other people in a talk that I was at prior to this. Speak to your local growth hub and speak to your local colleges, because between them they will hold your hand and guide you.
Well, as I say, the growth hubs are good in the college was hopeless. Exactly.
You need quite another college.
Yeah, maybe. But
which is what we
equally then, as I say, you put your head against the wall. We're all busy. We just gave up. We still found the people we needed. We still found young people. They're great, but the apprenticeship didn't work out for us. It was just a really poor experience.
Can you not utilise Ofsted? Would Ofsted not guide you towards a good training provider?
That's not their role.
It's not their role.
But they give out an accreditation of whatever that.
They report on the performance of training providers.
That's it, yeah.
And colleges.
Andrew, did you have another comment?
But they won't make recommendations or anything like that.
I think, guys, one of the things we're looking for is solutions, and I think it's a great point that Paul made there. That if we can share live examples of success that we can learn from, that's the way forward.
Yeah.
That's where these 2 videos that are pending that Cordin's about to release. One for an education leaver, why should you consider an apprenticeship? And one for an employer, why should you consider an apprenticeship for your business? And I think the more successes we have, the more we can share in the digital world, the better. And that will then inform people how to do it. That's our solution.
And I think just to quote a man that we both know very well, Peter Hopkinson, one of the forefathers of our industry, you know, the challenge we have is, he said to me when I came into the industry many years ago, just remember, however high you think you climb, no one leaves school wanting to sell toilets. And that's the challenge we have, that's genuinely true.
But there are lots of other jobs in the bathroom industry.
Oh, no, absolutely, and you know what? I've a 40 years selling toilets and I love it. I'm very sad. It's not great at dinner parties.
Jamie, do you feel like if they're not retained in your business, they stay within the sector? Is that incentive enough? That if, you know, there's a statistic in Austria, you know, 60% retention, but 30%, if they leave, they do leave, but we have incentivized them enough that they stay within industry. Is that incentive enough? Just because they haven't stayed with you after the 3-year apprenticeship, but they stayed within the sector and stayed within industry, are we helping as a whole? Are we've delivered attractiveness as a whole?
We need so many more people to be doing what we're doing, so that we've all got a talent pool to steal
And they
from.
can ripple
Because
out.
that's the reality, is not everyone's going to stay. We're apprentice, installer, mentor, we're trying to create a career ladder that will make it attractive with a good culture. They want to stay, but not everyone will. But if more people were doing it, then there's that talent pool that we can draw from.
Exposing them to industry, and then they see the potential, they see the prospects, and they stay within industry. They don't just go, you know, out exit stage left and leave.
We need to
the
create
industry.
good careers, and that's what is missing with the trade. People just think, oh, I wasn't very good at school, I'm going to be a tradie.
And clear pathways, because that isn't clear. I came into the industry, there was no clear pathway. I did a career pivot, and I came into the industry, and you thought it's by luck, by chance, there is no clear pathways, and I think that's a mistake.
And just to add to that, we've been running some listening sessions with apprentices recently, and we sit there and think, oh, it's career progression that's one of our key drivers, but actually it wasn't, it was career diversity. So they didn't want to just do the same job and just climb the ladder. They wanted to try lots of different jobs, and actually it was a bit of a wake-up call for us, because, you know, I said about the funnel in, but then we want to offer a funnel out.
I think that is one of the biggest advantages of our industry. You can be everything here, can't you? You can be on the tools, you can be an AI expert, a digital, you can be a designer, you can be a customer liaison, you can be a public speaker. You can be anything you want to be within this industry, and there are so many opportunities.
So much to offer.
It's not
but it's
just
not
on the
acknowledged
tools.
externally. So
We know that, but
the
no one
back-
else does.
Yeah, you're all saying that, but
Yeah.
like I said, you know, right at the beginning, a recognition of just how many jobs and really good jobs there are across this industry is probably not known.
That's a really
it's
good
almost
point.
a hidden,
Yep,
it's a
it is a
hidden
good
industry.
point. And to illustrate exactly what you said, Daphne, in my last teacher session, I said to a teacher, tell me what you do in conversation. And the teacher said to me, Simon, I always default to university. I said, why do that? She said, because I don't know what the other options are. And that's really sad to hear from the teacher.
It's a bit more cynical than
What
that,
the hell is
because
that?
previously they used to be incentivised through Ofsted and points
Is that
to
right?
do that.
Well, there you go, yeah.
And nothing for vocation, but that's changed now. We're in a stronger position.
Yeah.
So,
even by the way, this session, which I know it's frustrating for some of you, but this session, just by communicating, having this debate, this conversation with some solutions which we will document after the session, is a massive step forward.
Eric.
When I worked in food and drink manufacture doing a very similar job, they talked about very similar problems as we discussed around the table. They ended up producing a digital map, which literally went like that, as you say, as where you could possibly start and all the opportunities that were available. And every time you clicked on any of the opportunities, up came an apprentice or a young person that said, I started here, this is what I've done, this is what I'm looking to do, and it really made a difference.
maybe that is a great action.
Yeah.
We need to start uncovering success stories.
I
Where
forget what
did
they
you
called
start?
it, but it's basically a digital map.
see
They
that.
called it something sexy.
I'm sure AI could create that.
Absolutely,
I think they called it Taste the Difference. I don't know, something
I think that sounds
something
like a
weird.
great something.
Oh,
yeah.
Tasty Careers.
Tasty careers,
Tasty careers.
using a food analogy.
Yeah. That was great.
Okay, that sounds like great. We'll add it. Andrew,
You need a central point for that to emerge from.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can all talk for ages about what needs to be done, but unless you have an infrastructure to actually make these things happen, it's a complete waste of
which
time.
is why I think, Andrew, back to the point that we were trying to make today, we need to vote in, or we need maybe a facilitator, we need a central hub, we need someone to administrate that central hub, because you've offered space, who's actually gathering all the information, uploading it to the hub, who's actually going out and interviewing people and uncovering all the stories. So I think we've got a lot of great initiatives, but we kind of need a facilitator to take that on and then manage the input and the output.
And who's going to pay for it?
Who's going to pay for it? That is the crux of the matter. That is it, yeah. Who is going to pay for it? Where does the funding come from? How much is the furniture industry, the kitchens, bedrooms and bathrooms, the furniture industry worth to the UK economy? Where are we going to get the funding from?
£236 billion.
There you go, Damien. That is it. How much of that ends up in landfill? There's another conversation for another time.
Can I just very briefly on that? Funding might not be a problem as long as it's like investment in return. As long as you can put your neck on the block and say, what are you going to do if somebody gives you X? And that's, I mean, I can facilitate that, but you'd have to say, we're signing up to doing this.
If we got
And
funding.
the information itself is valuable, right? So
There's a value to it.
this is that point about what I keep saying about working groups. You know, even if the mind map was just the output of those experts, and then we have something that's actually a valuable asset that everybody benefits from, and it's a combined effort.
Sort of join them together.
Yeah,
That's what
it maybe doesn't need someone in charge. It actually needs working groups. If we're going to sit round and debate how is it all going to work, you need an activation group. You need a group of people who are experts in that field, and then you could pick off pillar 3, and you could get technology and innovation experts in the room, and then you could pick off pillar 5 with marketing.
Well, if installation is on the topic of everybody and you all think it's important, there is already a forum for that.
Okay.
Is what
And
I
there's
would
pillar
say.
6,
If
you
you
know,
are a kitchen retailer that's interested in kitchens and retailing, there is already a forum for that. So we've got it, we just need to get behind it, is what I would say.
And be conscious it's ready and open.
Whatever we've done in the past, forget about it. And I'll tell you why, because we are moving in a very fast pace. Things are going to be happening over the next 4 and 5 years, not 10 and 20, 4 and 5 years that will affect every single person in this room negatively if we don't get it right. I don't want to be pessimistic about that, but we're in the driving seat.
No,
we can do
definitely
something
are.
about that.
And I think the call to action is we need to take action, and we need to take it quickly.
Yes, you do. You do.
Otherwise, we're
Yes, you
going
do.
to banging your head, Andrew. Come
Sorry,
on.
can I suggest, just, the only action point is we're going to have another meeting, and it's kind of.
Well, we're not.
Right,
We are
okay.
absolutely not
But-
going to leave here with another meeting.
But there
unless we've got
are,
action.
but you should have that. What you need, Damien's absolutely right, but I'm going to go on my no such thing as an industry speech. There's no such thing as the KBB industry, there's literally no such thing. It's a loose affiliation of lots of different industries, all lashed together in a kind of loose raft, right? So there's furniture and there's worktops, and there's sinks and there's taps, and there's appliances, and there's sanitary ware, and there's everything, right?
Yeah.
And so everyone talks about the industry, there's literally no such thing, because everyone has their own agendas. But there are organisations that already exist that do have overlapping interests, and that's where the conversation needs to start. But BA is one, BIFIS is another, but where's the appliances in this room, for example? Right? So you've got Ambia, which is the Association for Appliances, well, they should be involved in this. They had a conference the other week, who went to that? Nobody, right? There's the Worktop Federation, there's all these people who are already existing for these forums. They need to overlap and work out where that Venn diagram sits. Otherwise, all you're really doing is starting another thing. So if there's going to be another, you need to get Ambia there, you need to get the BFF there, you need to get the merchants there, you need to get, because otherwise these conversations are already happening, but they're happening in isolation.
So are you saying we're missing a piece of the puzzle in the room? There's a missing conversation.
Yeah, because there are initiatives already going on, so you're aware of all the initiatives that are currently available and where they all overlap and where they benefit you or don't benefit you.
So again, back to the point, somebody needs to spend the time to pull it all together, to grab all
I
the
tried it
initiatives.
about 17 years ago.
Thank you for volunteering for that.
I'm not volunteering. I
I
did
love
volunteer
it.
a long
Thank
time
you,
ago.
and
So
we're
it's
going to put it on the minute.
So to clarify the point, it's not about forming yet another organisation. It's about having an umbrella
Yes.
that ties all those individual parts of the jigsaw together to form a picture.
And
for the industry.
covering what's already been done, what already exists, what's already out there. We don't know what we don't know.
It's initiatives, shared initiatives, what's coming.
Only coming from our own perspective.
And when you look at all the organisations that fall under that umbrella, there's loads of them. There's the BID, there's REMA, there's loads of them that all fall under what you would integrate or react with the KBB industry. Actually,
you know as well as I do, and we've been in a lot of rooms where there've been a lot of conversations. We pulled lots of people together from lots of parts of our industry. Never managed to get the whole, but there's been lots of conversations. And like I think Damien's point, we need to take action now.
What have been the biggest barriers then if this has happened previously?
Yeah, people leave. So initially TCAT, trying to get a level 6 apprenticeship off the ground. That is written. That sits there waiting for a university to adopt it. London School of Architecture or wherever. Well, that is out there. It is written, and it just always falls flat because we're all, like we said, I think busy, time poor.
Do you know the problem that we've got? And TK is a good example of that. They've got an oven-ready product that just will make a difference. But who is TK? TK is a group of business owners that are doing their own thing, and their priorities in their lives is in their business, and quite rightly so.
Quite rightly so, exactly. They have to put their bread and butter first before they take on any of this philanthropic exercise.
Which is why you take the actions out of this group of people.
Yeah, we take the actions away. Who wants to volunteer for action? Neil, I'm going to come to you because we've not heard a lot from you today. I'm sure you've been listening, and I just wanted to get your thoughts. Is there anything that you could add to the conversation? People skills, any success stories? What are you guys doing in your own business?
so I think there are quite a few initiatives that we've got in play that we could post on a bulletin board principle to say. We found doing continuous skills boosting is a pretty simple thing that is not very time consuming for management that isn't used to dealing with it. So for example, we access the LinkedIn learning platform, and I think you've got something in the region of 15,000 free courses available. Where I think that is perhaps of interest to the broader set is there's plenty of experts around the room in their own fields, but often the skills boosting, especially to that diversity comment that you suggested there, that what are people looking for is, well, if you had a member of your team come to you and say, I'm thinking about something in customer service when you're employing them as an installer or something, it sort of feels a bit contradictory to your P&L. Bluntly. Bluntly. So if you can provide a very easy way that allows them to go and do some self-learning or to go and explore that option, I think it plays very much to the diversity principle without it being a massive on cost to what are very, time poor businesses. And to your point there also about putting experts in the room on these things, I think it's not about AI, it's not about the future of these people, but the pace by which that appreciation of self-learning and the drive effort, it's never been faster. There's never been more information available to younger people today, whether they're at year 6 or whether they're at year 36, it doesn't matter. We don't necessarily have to think that it's a program that is really prescriptive. We just need to be sort of a bit of a lighthouse to that principle, and that still fits with everything everyone said. But there are some pretty good platforms there.
I think in the last kind of 10 minutes, because you guys don't have to leave, but I have to leave. Apologies for that. But I think in the last kind of 10 minutes, it might be worth doing a bit of a litmus read in the room, a bit of a test. And I'm going to include Emma, Andrew, anyone else in the room that would like to offer an opinion. Is there one action that's triggered something for you today that you thought there's a spark there? And I think that's the one action that I would like to get behind, I would like to push forward, I would like to champion. You don't have to do it yourself, but I think it would be worth us going around the room and saying, I heard something today that I think is something that we could physically put in place from today, and this would make a difference. It can't, it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. 1 or even 2 action points clear. I'm looking at you, Brandon, because they're going to come to you first, and I'm giving you I'm doing a bit of talking to fill some time for you, so you put you on the spot as the first person. But after what you've heard today, what do you think is the one action point that we could get behind as a cohort, not having to do it ourselves, but it would make a difference in the next 6 months? If we're going to all meet again in 6 months' time, what is the one action do you think we could all get behind?
This might be a bit selfish if I'm honest with you, obviously from a technology background. I was having a conversation with Peter earlier, and one of the things he was speaking to me about, I was asking him a question about digital transformation and pieces, and he kind of spoke about, using AI to build a solution in-house, and obviously coming from a technology space, it means, for me, I'm interested in that because obviously we use agentic tools to develop our software, but at the same time, I want to understand how our industry is coping, because a lot of people are saying AI is going to take my job. However,
are you saying one of the action points that we could do together is to do a survey across the business of various different players, from small to big, to say, where are you at with AI? What initiatives have you got in place? Are you willing to share a survey of what's going on in industry?
Yeah, essentially, yes, but it's something I'm going to do either way, right? Because I find it very interesting, to understand what people are using from a technology perspective. Do they understand what digital transformation is? Is another buzzword.
Have access to chat?
Correct.
Do you block it? What do they use it?
Because there's a lot of data issues that a lot of people don't understand about putting their personal information or in public platforms like ChatGTP, which essentially that is an open platform. As much as they say, that data's not being used for other things, it's interesting for me to know.
AI health check.
Correct.
An AI health check. Are we AI competent, AI dependent, or do we just turn a blind eye to AI? AI health check.
Correct.
Move on to you, Peter, please.
I don't know if everyone will agree with this, I might be speaking out of turn, but for me, it's that engagement, I think, where I need to make more effort engaging with BIFIS, because I do believe there's definitely scope for us to target our efforts through someone who does have an ear, because the challenges we have with the apprenticeships stem primarily from the way the government sees them, trying to get in earlier in the schools and things. There are so many positives they're trying to do, that I think we need to get behind that.
So you're going to widen your voice, widen your understanding, and you're going to collaborate with someone else.
Like we are here, we need to be in rooms where potentially we may get listened to, and we appreciate the opportunity to be in this room. We have a broad experience from previous careers. We tried to harness that in how we developed our bathroom business, but there's a limit to what we're capable of doing. So again, we talked about experts, as we need to start being in the rooms where the experts can pick and learn from what we're saying, but then move it forward.
I think also really give us the cold hard facts. We can come up with a lot of assumptions about how many houses are going to be built, sustainability targets, and probably you know more about the facts than a lot of us do in the room. But I think is having the expert in the room who has the cold. How many people are employed? How many people leave industry? How many people stay for 2 months? How many apprentices are waiting? I think we need experts. Yes, Jamie.
Yeah, so for me, it's creating one industry voice. All of us around this table, we have our own audiences. For the association, we have our own members. We're talking to them. We're speaking to them all the time. But I think we're almost working in silos. Yeah. We need to bring that together. And it's that ripple effect then. The more people that we can appeal to and get on board about this, and apprenticeships and levies and all these things, we're educating people at the same time. So to have one consistent voice doing that for the entire industry, I think is hugely powerful.
Dan?
I think if we talk about sort of the economies of scale, I think the single biggest impact that we can have based on what I've heard today has to be around that proper understanding of the levy gifting.
Yes.
Because I think the snowball effect that you can get off the back of that actually is going to give a material impact and change. So that, for me, I don't know where the exact expertise lies, but I, for one, as a business, would love to understand that more and then actually be able to take that forward. But I just think that's a tangible action and it will have an impact at scale, or it could have. So
It's really unlocking the door and unlocking the potential to getting access to some of that levy money. Yeah, okay.
So in this point, can we propose? I don't know. We should meet the specialist in this field,
Yeah, maybe
and do something like a webinar or something.
A guest speaker who is an expert in that area.
Okay.
Yeah, we invite a guest speaker who's a specialist in that area, and they give us actually the cold hard facts of it, and then
That's a good one. That's a
our
good one.
routes and pathways have done.
Yeah, I think Jamie probably likes to your point actually, it's that one voice, but I'd like to use that one voice to then look at something practical in real life. So I mentioned that customers of the future. To Howdens, installers are our customers. So that's when I say customers of the future, I'm actually talking about fitters basically. So I think it'd be really good to use the people that are part of this group, maybe a wider group, to look at something real life, like a real life practical example. It might be nothing in it for Howdens, and it might actually mean more to other businesses, but if we get the right people around the table, plus then potentially lobbying the right people in government as well, to if it's big enough, I think people will listen, and that's the real challenge for me. So it's using the one voice to look at something practical.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I've written down that kind of collaboration across different trade associations. Maybe it hasn't worked before, but we need to find a way to collectively come together around this quite big, challenging issue for all industry. I still think the piece that Toby's mentioned around that collaboration across the kind of HR, because I think that's more of a future piece. Yes, we're trying to solve the apprenticeship bit, but I think the kind of future of the industry and how we manage talent and careers and all that stuff is incredibly important. So I welcome to kind of connect with you on that. And then I wonder, as a result of today, whether we can publish something or really get this out. I have the tools to communicate with my members around what we're talking about here. So I don't know whether everybody knows about this forum and the purpose of it and why we're doing it. That's no disregard to you. I'm just wondering whether we can use our collective voice so that people, our members, know that we are in rooms making some really, quite critical kind of decisions and actions around how we can support the industry. I think that, if we could, those that are in trade associations, being able to get something out there relatively quickly about what we've talked about, what the actions, and then we hold ourselves to account because we shared it, rather than it being just in the room. So I wonder if there's just something like that.
So if I will send the meeting outcomes, please share it. Okay, you can share it. Feel free to share it with everyone.
We might need to kind of crystallise what.
Yeah, I will do this.
In there, and how we agreed to kind of, and maybe you talked about it. How can you kind of publish the kind of positive stories? But I do think that then holds us to account as well.
For me, I think it was the point David made early on, the education outreach. I think that's a great initiative. We do appear on the national curriculum, as Thomas Crapper is a great Victorian, so I think there's an opportunity there for us to leverage that somehow. So yeah, no, I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Right, Paul, I think we're going to leave it there. You guys are all going to get your say anyway, and what you'd like to take away. You'll be pleased to hear Daphne and Emma about to go and do a talk on women in industry and championing women in KBB, women in the trade. So I'm just about to run off and do that. So that's my takeaway action point is more women in industry.
And I do need, sorry, I've got a session as well. Sorry.
And there's a certificate there for anyone that wants it for a CPD, get some points. So help yourself certificate. It was really lovely. Yeah, thank you so
Amanda.
much.
We're not finished, just 5 minutes to go, guys, and then we'll do exactly what you said there. I take away solution.
We missed David.
I think they were.
No, David didn't.
Okay, my apologies.
That's fine.
Hand over.
It's all right. So without repeating
Thank you, Amanda.
Jamie and Aaron's point, it's about collaboration. So as a manufacturer, we're part of the mailing group, which for us has been a really beneficial thing, where each month you get invited to a different manufacturer and it's about best practice. It could be HR, it could be health and safety, it could be a number of things. And so whilst at times I've struggled to understand the real pressures that people are under with certain apprenticeship schemes, I've always taken the view that we'll take an apprentice on at Trojan if we can give them a genuine outcome.
So I don't bring an apprentice in the office unless I believe that they're going to get something tangible. I'm not going to have an apprentice mould, vacuum former or sprayer. So it's about the collaboration and best practice, what works for our industry, and the joining of the organisation we've got around this table. The BMA, KBS, and other sort of groups is going to be really critical, because that's one voice there.
Thank you, David. Real quick fire, guys.
Just focus on the practical things. If there's a place to put examples, best cases, just crack on.
Do it. Love that. I like that. I love that. Absolutely. The app idea is fantastic.
It's there, it's available. Absolutely. The one thing I'm going to do, because I've been moaning on about for long enough now, I'm going to scope some work for an alliance between trade associations that specialise within the fitted interior sector, and I will start that piece of work Monday, and I will report back to you all as to my progress, with a view to pull those people together and to start conversation. That's what I will do.
That's lovely, Mark.
You know what, celebrating what's good in the industry, celebrating companies like Peter and Emma when it comes to installation.
Yeah.
Obviously, SenseTech was one of the sponsors for that. I was involved in bringing SenseTech onto that, and so I saw it at the beginning. But you know what, watching that video, and obviously we'll see the longer videos, that's the target for installers. We're full of the installation industry is full of sole traders, but companies like Peter and Emma's is really the target that will really help companies get on premises.
Real quick fire, guys.
Yeah, our baseline as business is stronger together. It's great bringing everyone here together. We share that totally. I love the idea of making this industry attractive, Paul. So you haven't got to be embarrassed about selling toilet for 40 years. Actually, something we champion. Make it an industry people want to work in.
Yeah, love that, Trevor.
What you said, Jamie. Stronger together. There's a lot of independent forces at play here that have been circulating around the multifarious parts of this industry for the last 40 odd years. It's about time we became one voice for everybody.
So for example, in this point, if KBSA is doing something amazing, organizing some event around one of the topics important for everyone, invite everyone. Same for the CRIs, PA and others.
Yeah, putting people, experts together. And from my side, I think it that could be in that room. I think what will be nice is seeing a cross section of business size and type, and having a unified problem to discuss. So I'm happy to work with the individual. I'll send an email out to get people proposed, and then perhaps if you can support me with building an agenda.
I'll finish where I started, which is about giving us groups some substance. If this is the vehicle, the voice of the industry, it needs substance, and it needs a facilitator or someone.
I love that.
Can't be like people like Toby saying afterwards, we need someone to do
comment to make on that at the end. Derek?
Yeah, definitely stronger together, whatever the mechanisms, whether it's facilitation, whether it's just combined expertise. I think it's got to be supported by tangible outcomes, which are about resources, excellent videos. I think we need more of that sort of thing, whether it's digital maps or other things, but it's got to be resources which people can use out there.
Okay, guys, that's really good. So just on that, for me, really it's about, I think, exactly what Andy said. It's an individual to join that circle initially, which we'll talk about after the meeting, Andy. I think just to put it out there for everyone to understand it is that Amanda's very kindly volunteered to do that, and so has Andy. We'll have that conversation after the meeting because time's against us. What I will say, we have been asked by Jacqueline, who sat in the far left-hand corner of me, to have a team picture. So if I could ask everybody, because time's going to get us that way to the end of the room, Gordon will take a beautiful photograph of you lovely people. And I'm going to give you that camera to do the hands out.